Driving into the mountains here, there's a herd of buffalo hanging out. Kind of fun. They use those huge heads to push the snow back and forth when they get down to the grass. Probably a couple hundred buffaloes scattered out behind. Got our sleds, and we're headed out down the boat ramp to the lake. Up here, up Gervant Creek, up past Kelly to Lower Slide Lake. All right, we dragged out here and there's a little bit of overflow. So the ice is right there. Can't see it, but when there's a series of thaw or freeze, some rain or melt, and then freeze, you get a little layer of water in between all the overflow. This is more than I thought there'd be. It's not dangerous at all. It's just seems eerie to see water when you're standing on it. But anyway, we're gonna drill a couple holes and set things up. I'm going to try and do this in the wind, but this is called a tip up. It's got a spool here. I've got some sucker meat and then a little weight right there. I'm going to drop those down and in. I know you probably can't hear me because of the wind, but I'm going to put this away and then I'll show you what I'm going to do. I need to get it off. We've got that set up and down. I was unscrewing a little piece here and I dropped the wing nut down there, or the little screw down into the water, so hopefully this will still work the way it's set up. But a fish comes by and grabs that bait and it's going to swallow it, and it'll move off and it'll cause this spindle to turn, and then this comes out of this hook and the flag pops up. So you can just kind of step out from our shelter over there and look and see if this pops up or not. Some people put a bell on the tip, but this is really a setup to catch big fish swimming along the bottom, so I let it all the way down. It's about 60 feet of water here. I'll take you back over here and show you our setup behind that windbreak, which is so much more pleasant behind that windbreak. We see an ice shelter down at the opposite end, and we're wondering if that's where we need to be instead of this end. Here's our shelter. It's just a windbreak. So here's the graph that I built just out of a crate. Has my 50 amp hour lithium battery from my boat in there, and then my fish finder from my boat. So here's the bottom. Here's his jig in that hole. Here's my jig in this hole. Here's the surface, and if fish come by, we'll see marks on there. And then this dial is the same thing. Here's the surface. Here's my jig at 35-ish feet. And then down here, 55 feet is his jig, and then this is the bottom. And if marks show up, those are fish. And then we're in 60 feet of water. So there's no wind behind this windbreak, which is kind of nice. I've never used it before.
Makes a lot of difference.
Makes a huge difference. It's warm back here. I don't have to have my gloves on. And I even brought a little buddy heater to set up behind us if I want to create a little more warmth back in here. Not a single fish though, huh?
Nope, nothing's come by at all.
And then you can see out there's the setup with the flag. Windy. Fun. I think it's fun. There's a little more. I don't like the flow over just because it makes it so wet and messy and sloppy. He went out a little further, and there's just another 100 yards is solid ice on the surface. And we probably should have just pulled all the way out there, and it's so much cleaner to set up in solid ice. I mean, we do have solid ice below us. It's about 18 inches thick, but just sitting on the surface is a little bit of run over. And what it is the creek comes out of there, most likely, and there might be another side creek or two. And they just kind of tend to pool up a little behind the ice. And then all it takes is a little bit to come over, and pretty soon you just have this little surface, and that slowly freezes. Probably over the next couple weeks, as we have really low temperatures, this will freeze, and then you'll have surface slush. I set up what's called a jaw jacker, and this little mechanism out at the front that you rig up. If the fish pulls on the line, it releases and the pull flips up and sets the hook in the fish's mouth, and then you see it standing up, and that's kind of the pole is your flag, basically. So it's cold out in the wind. It's probably 20 degrees, but probably, let me talk when I get in here. Got your Mongolian hat on.
Yep.
Is that the one you got in Mongolia?
Yeah.
So yeah, back in here it's really nice. Got the sun out, but it's probably 20 degrees, but out in the wind chill it's probably in the upper teens. Doesn't feel bad, but your hands start to feel it after a little bit. So it's not too bad. Still nothing on the screen. But now, either it set itself. I don't see it jiggling around. My pole's up, so I don't see it bouncing though. Must have just released on its own. Back I go to reset it. Nothing on the screen still though, so kind of a bummer. You never know with ice fishing if you should set up there. But it's a good amount of water, so we should have fish. Got a fish there angling down to his jig down there at 53, 54 feet. But it's angled from way up here by my jig down to his. So it should be right there. hear voices. Must be up at that cabin. There's horses.
Oh, you know what that is?
What? Oh, your carrot, huh?
Almost got it.
He tossed a chunk of carrot down there. And we weren't watching, and then all of a sudden we realized when it kept going and it hit the bottom, we thought, oh. That's funny, it picked up a chunk of carrot.
Well, it shows that it knows what it's doing.
He's eating carrots and peanut butter. So that's the transducer. That's the float, and then hanging down on a wire is a little metal and plastic cone-shaped thing, and it's hanging just below the ice in the water. And so this floats, and that thing hanging there sends a sonar out, and we're seeing a 21-degree cone. So that the surface, it's just a foot or so wide, and then at the bottom it's 22 feet. So whatever comes into that cone shows up on the screen. Usually fish, but apparently little pieces of carrot. It is getting cold. Been here 2.5 hours. And without this windscreen, we would probably be gone by now. The wind's blowing, it's snowing off and on. We are sitting here chatting, and the next thing we know, it turns into a blizzard. We're hoping it just blows over. Look at that. Oh, man. Ice fishing sure is fun. Got the little heater going, though. Staying a little warm. Holy cow, there goes our shelter.
Yeah, it's time to go, Joe.
Yeah, we're getting out of here. Woo! Got a little crazy pretty quick. So, just as we were breaking down, the game warden came to check our tags. And as he came out, as he was coming out, the snowstorm started, and he sat and chatted with us for a while, and he offered to pull our sleds back. Hopefully he's just super nice and not setting us up for I'm just kidding. I don't think we did anything against the rules today, I hope. So, fun. Save us a little bit of a pull back. All right, we made it back to shore, and climbing up the boat ramp, he pulled our sleds all the way up to the truck. So, pretty nice game warden. Fun. Pretty good snowstorm. So we just sat there for 30 minutes chatting with him. John, there's his truck and his outfit. So if you want a cool job, he works for Wyoming Fish and Game, and that's his job, is to go around and help manage hunts and fishermen, check permits and check game animals when the regulations require you to check in an animal like bears and stuff. We were talking about CWD, diseases in the herds, and all kinds of stuff. So he was super cool and fun to chat with, and he dragged our sleds back, saved us a lot of effort, and we're gonna get out of the snowstorm and head home. So fun time. only saw a few fish on the screen, and he confirmed that our friends that came and were catching one after the other, we were right where they were. So just one of those bad luck days for fishing. So that's it. Okay, one last thing here. So the slide lake, I believe it was created when this slide happened, and it choked back the creek and created a big old backflow, and then I want to say it busted out and came down and took out like the town of Kelly or something like that. I might be making stuff up here. Maybe I'm mixing stories, but we'll see. So the Gravant slide. So in 1925, so 100 years ago, this June, that'll be the 100-year anniversary. It slid down and filled up, and the river dammed, and it created, I think there's two lakes. There's Lower Slide Lake and Upper, but for sure Lower was created by this, I believe. So let's go down. Oh, these are covered. Let's see if this tells us more. It's so long, I'm probably gonna have you press pause and read it yourself while this is paused. So here's the slide area, and I'm thinking that's from that side it came down, and because we're sitting on this side. We were just fishing. I think we parked right here and we were fishing right there on the Lower Slide. So we're just outside of Grand Teton Park, and we came up through Jackson Hole from my house in Star Valley. But here's the slide. The mountain just broke loose and slid down. You can see these in multiple places all through the ranges, but they don't often just bury the creek and back up and make a lake, and then eventually the creek breaks through and reforms its deal. It's a natural bed. But you can press pause and read that if you want. And then you can press pause and read that if you can on your screen. But so it looks like they did have some type of problem with it flash flooding out once it broke free. But you can read about that. Kelly, Kelly, is the little town down outside the canyon that was affected by everything that happened. So yeah, it looks like it flooded out everything, and kind of crazy when it finally broke free. Fun. Gravant, the Gravant slide. That's how how we pronounce it around here, at least. The Gravant, Gros Venture, the Gravant slide. And this is, I think, the Gravant Creek, and might be Gravant Canyon too. Fun. Thanks for coming. Hey, one last video here. Here's the buffalo again on our way out, covered in snow themselves, just like us. I'm trying to keep the wind off here so you can hear me. Trying to go slow, panning, all zoomed in. Come back to the herd. Some of them bedded down there, and some of them feeding away. Their thickest skin and thickest hairs on their forehead. I mean, you almost not cut through with a knife practically, and they just push the snow back and forth like that guy right there. And they dig down and get the grass. They paw at the ground and help dig, but they use their heads to dig a lot. That one's doing it too. Pretty cool. This is just inside Grand Teton Park with the buffalo. That's it.